Hey guys, it's Aseem Sharma again, training manager from Solframe Consulting. I do hope you're all well. Um, I want to briefly explore about how do you control your mood? Um, and it's not so much about controlling your mood, it's maybe perhaps your perception of certain things. And it's an important skill in life because you can really get yourself into a big mix when, let's say, you're frustrated or angry or upset or you're feeling hurt about something. And the point is not to suppress the emotion at all. Often you need to embrace it and accept that, look, something is happening. I mean, I was actually reading a LinkedIn post recently, and someone had mentioned, I'm sorry, I don't mean to plagiarize, but I genuinely have forgotten the name. There are so many connections. But let's say someone is confronted by something that makes them angry, or they want to react in a certain way. So they said, I think something like take a breath, then accept it, and then take time. So yeah, I mean there are certain kind of analogies, and that's a good thing, and you may have heard that before. Um, don't be so reactive. Now it depends what it is, right? Because let's say you're in a professional setting and someone does something which violates your kind of privacy, or you just feel that you want to react, then generally it's better to tame yourself. And I'm not saying you implode, but yes, maybe just think about it for a second, and perhaps that explosive anger wouldn't feel as intense if you take a little time to kind of reflect upon it and think, how should you respond constructively, being polite but also asserting yourself, as I mentioned before. But let's say it's a friend, or it's within a relationship or the family. Do you really want to always kind of like have to censor, as it were, your reactions? Because those people you tend to feel more open with, right? And if you have to be so kind of professional and a little careful around them, then that's not. I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? It becomes pointless because you want to be open and be absolutely transparent with them. Otherwise, clearly there's some sort of intrinsic issue within that relationship which can lead to problems further down the road. Hey, I'm no expert or counselor, but I'm just saying, and I'm sure you guys would agree. But again, coming back to the main point, let's say something makes you angry. What can you do to channelize that anger? And I've mentioned this partly before, which may mean that you express that anger in some way. You may do an activity to kind of channelize that anger in a productive way. So I do get angry, but somehow I'm generally able to kind of control it. But let's say something has made me upset, and that happens sometimes a lot, especially during this pandemic period. It's been very difficult for everyone. So you may have worked on a project and someone isn't paying you. All sorts of things have happened. A lot of things. I'm not gonna go into that. But what I'm trying to say is that frustration or that hurt, that gets to me. And the fact that I feel that anyone who kind of accepts that and is open to admit it is a strong person, because yeah, it hurts me. So one thing that I do, I'm not a particularly active person, but yes, I try to keep active. And I'm not a person who goes to the gym, especially not now. But as I've mentioned before in one of my previous videos, I tend to I I don't really schedule a workout as such, but if I feel that, look, I have some sort of stress on my mind, I will go into a spontaneous workout. And it's not long. It's maybe just a minute or two maximum, 5 minutes at the max, because I'm not a very active person. And I repeat that process a few times in the day. So I may, have worked out a total of at least 10 minutes, usually typically 15 or 20 minutes a day, every day, because it's not something very intensive. But for me, it does time myself out. And then while I'm doing it, apart from the strain on my body, which is a good thing, because of course working out is good for you within moderation, of course, and of course do it safely as well. But it gives me time to reflect upon what is that thing that's actually bothering me, and is it the actual thing, or is it the reaction or the effect it's having on me? These are two different things, right? Is it the cause, or is it the symptom of that cause? Sometimes you have to kind of do a root cause analysis, and I'm not talking in kind of like quality and calling and BPO terms. I'm talking about something in your life which is important. That's one thing. The other thing is that, let's say you and I mentioned this before, you're feeling a bit lazy or you feel a bit demotivated, then what is the thing that's going to really give you that oomph and, get you going? And bear in mind, not every day is going to be as energetic as the previous day or the following day. Again, setting yourself a goal, and I mentioned this before, and taking small steps and then gauging your progress at each step, seeing whether you need to change your game. Again, I'm repeating myself, and reminding yourself that, look, I don't need to accomplish every single thing today, otherwise what's the point of life? And this happens with me often. If I have a bucket list of things to do, and let's say I've just been given a lot of tasks to do, be it work and personal, I'll be like, oh my god, I really just want to get rid of all of this stuff, and I know it's not possible, and I may switch from one task to another, do a bit of multitasking as it were, or I may just focus on something unconditionally for a few hours and say, look, that was good, now I've got that out of the way. So that's sequential, right? So I think you need to deploy all these kind of strategies, and again, remind yourself that distracting yourself isn't always the way to deal with an issue. You may want to speak to a friend, you may want to speak to a family member, and often that is not always feasible because people aren't available all the time. They have their own issues, or you don't really have the right audience to share that with, and that's where it becomes a bit dangerous, because you don't want to just start befriending a stranger and confide in them and then realize that you've revealed too much about yourself, because it may bite you back at some point. I have those experiences. Whatever the case may be, but sometimes, I know this sounds funny and maybe some of you guys do that, I like to write. So I'll make a journal of things, and typically what I do is I upload poetry, and it's about my personal experience. It's either something or someone who I'm very close to, or it's just my kind of experience for the day, and I will typically upload it. Actually what I do is I upload it on my Facebook timeline. I'm not a very social media oriented person otherwise. I don't really upload many pics of myself and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, or get into a discussion. What I do is I treat my timeline as an open diary, that this is what happened, and I'll make a poem about it and I'll make it rhyme. And typically it will take me 2 to 5 minutes. Sometimes I may learn a new word because I want to rhyme. Sometimes I'm not always rhyming, but this is something that gives me that inspiration. I say, okay, I've just expressed something, or I've just done a quick workout. So I've, used productive, the productive sense or aspect of my anger, or my frustration, or my hurt, or whatever it may be. That's what works for me. It may not work for you. So, and often when you embark upon an activity in order to alleviate some sort of pain or something which is bothering you, you learn a new skill. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. For further tips, please do stay subscribed or subscribe to this channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Telegram. Please do follow us. Please like and subscribe. I do wish to see you and look forward to seeing you on our courses. If you have any questions or comments, please do mention them below. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Till next time, thank you very much. Trademark sign off from me, and goodbye.